And here's the video review for Transformers Robots in Disguise Prime Bumblebee. Again, Robots in Disguise is the subline, or the main line, whereas Prime is the subline. You know what I mean, I've explained it before. But yeah, and here he is, little black and yellow sports car. He does have the two guns which plug in here on the engine block. You can just pop those right off, and they do also separate as well. His two arm guns. So it's nice that he comes with two weapons as opposed to the one weapon of the first edition, although I do have two weapons for my first edition Bumblebee. Just from the one from the regular release and one from the New York Comic-Con exclusive set with RC. But all in all, you can tell he's a little simpler just by looking at him underneath. But yeah, a nice little figure. You can see he is a little smaller as well, comparing him to the first edition one. But he hides, you know, it's not quite, the windows are a little darker, so it's not quite, you don't see all the stuff visible inside. He's missing the Autobot logo here on the front part of the chest. And, you know, doesn't have the paint apps over here. But overall, you can tell they're the same car. A little smaller, but detail-wise in vehicle mode, he's not really any less detailed in this version than this version. Although, again, comparing the undersides, you can see there's a lot more going on the first edition than the regular release. That's not really a bad thing. I know a lot of people like to come down on these things. And by that I mean the Robots in Disguise editions. But again, Bumblebee is one of those ones that, again, he is much more simple than the first edition. I think he's a little less screen. He's definitely less screen accurate than the first edition. I'll put that out there. But as a toy, I think he's a lot more fun. And we'll get into that. You know, same with Cliff Jumper and all that stuff. I'm really looking at these things as which one would I like to carry around and play with? And I think, again, the first edition. As a collector, yes, this is a nice one to transform and display and set up on your shelf and show off, display with your other figures. But just as a, I want to play with something, takes the cake. Anyway, there's that, and we'll go ahead and get right on to robot mode transformation. And to do that, we just want to take Bumblebee right here. You can go ahead and actually open the doors first. Open the doors right here. You can do it any way you want to split that out. You can see the side panels are part of the arms. Just bring those down and out like that. Bring the lower body down. Split the legs. And these transform very similarly to the first edition, although the foot is all one piece. It doesn't fold up like the first edition did. And you'll notice the rear windows are not back here on the back of the leg. But all in all, a very similar lower body, lower leg transformation here to the first edition. Now where it gets different is you want to take this whole top piece, pick it up, flip this back panel under, like that, and just kind of leave this back. Now, when you pull out the arms, you just kind of want to detach this right here. Now here's where it'll automatically transform as you flip these back. It should, at least, there's a head got stuck. But it automatically flips the head back into and pops open and moves these off of this piece. Remember, you had to really manually get under there and pull down on the first edition. The shoulders come back, head pops up, and then you can take this back piece and just tuck it in right there. And there is Prime, or Robots in Disguise Bumblebee. Now, this should block it. There we go. Block it in a little better. And you can see his shoulders kind of sit at a forward angle, which I'm not a real big fan of. And some people have said, you know, there's a head mod. You can do this. The head doesn't sit all the way down. And it actually isn't too bad. This one actually, I've seen a mod where you have to go in and cut like the last two notches off of this gear thing. And I found you really don't have to do that. His head is on this gear, but much like Megatron's fusion cannon, the head piece is not actually permanently attached to that gear. It moves freely independent of the gear itself. So what you can do is to transform it without having to cut anything. Mine worked just fine doing this without having to actually cut anything on the figure itself. Just lift it up as you're transforming it into robot mode. Just go ahead and start off by just lifting this up. But it doesn't have to be far at all. Just give it a little push, lift it up a little bit. And that will set it far enough back that when you snap the arms in, it sits all the way down proper in his shoulders. It doesn't hover up here somewhere and look bad. It actually sits all the way down there without having to modify anything. And And again, you can push it down after you've pulled the shoulders all the way out, but just due to how it sits, it's kind of hard to get it all the way down that way. If you push it back just a little bit as you're transforming it, it automatically pushes it a little further and allows it to sit all the way down without having to worry about it after the fact. And there he is. The two guns, like I said, they separate, and they just plug in right here on this little, just round peg, square hole, but it fits right here on his arms. He does come with two of them. And there, he can't really use the first. I tried snapping the first edition ones on there, and the peg just is too short. The way it's designed, it doesn't really fit on his arm. So I also thought about swapping this head onto the first edition since it has the proper silver face. But this one has a peg on the neck piece that goes up into the head. This one has a peg on the head that goes down into the neck piece, so they aren't really compatible. I kind of want to get the first edition, not the first edition, but the new entertainment pack that has Bumblebee and Starscream with some mech guys, because he does have the proper silver painted face, and I could pop it onto the first edition body. But apparently that's also not going to come to the U.S. It's also going to be an overseas exclusive, so I'm not positive on that, but somebody's saying that, and I haven't read where that was confirmed, but annoying if true. So here's a side-by-side comparison here real quick. Let me fix the tripod. I got a new tripod, so I got to figure out how it all works. But yeah, and there they are side-by-side. Now again, I think First Edition Bumblebee really captures the aesthetic of the show much better than the Robots in Disguise Bumblebee. It does. It looks. Neither one of them look exactly like the character on the cartoon. First edition looks a little better. I wish he had the silver face. So there's that. I mean, like I said, collector-wise, if you're going to display them, show them all, if you want them all to look as cartoony as possible, the first edition's the one you want. However, like I said, just as a toy, I think he's. I like the Robots in Disguise one. It's not nearly as bad as people have vilified it to be. Everything pegs together solidly. You don't have these floppy, loose shoulders. You don't have these chest panels that just kind of sit on a hook. Everything pegs together very solidly, and it's overall a nice representation of Bumblebee. It's not the most accurate, but for just carrying around, having something to play with, and wanting to mess around with a figure, it's there. If you can get the first edition, by all means. You know, if that's what you're looking for, get the first edition. There's nothing wrong with it. But there's nearly nothing wrong with this one. I don't know why people are so down on it. It's not perfect, but it's far from the garbage we have been getting. I say garbage we have been getting, like, but I think it's still a far better figure than most of the late wave movie line stuff that's been flooding the shelves. So yeah, there it is. Robots in Disguise. Revealer Bumblebee. Available now at TFsource.com. Great toys, excellent service. Why go to the store when you can go to the source? TFsource.com.